Hello, it's Dragon Tank 1400 and this is RWBY Volume 6 prediction video. I'm just going to tell you like my predictions, my thoughts about what I think is going to happen in RWBY Volume 6. Let me just start off with like a few things that we know. We know that the main characters are going to go to Atlas. We know that they have the Relic of Knowledge. And we know that it's pretty much Weiss's turn to have her story develop. Now, this is a prediction slash kind of what we know because of things that were prepared in Volume 4 with Weiss, Yang, and Blake's characters. We know that they're going to get developed in the future beyond Volume 4, and we know that Volume 5 developed Blake and Yang's characters. That was like their kind of character arc for the time being, which means those two characters might not play a huge role in this volume. I bet they're going to play some sort of role though, because they are like very main characters. Weiss, however, didn't really. She developed a little bit in Volume 5. However, Volume 6 at Atlas is where she's going to really shine, and we kind of already know one of the main villains is going to be her father, Jacques. Now, why do I think that Jacques is going to be set up like as a villain? Well, it's because in Volume 4 he was set up as a villain, as an antagonist towards Weiss. Now, whether or not he actually is working for Salem or not has yet to be seen, but I personally predict that he is working for Salem, and that's kind of how he actually got into power and got riches, and his money is kind of what's funding Salem. Because if you think about it, where's all this money coming from Salem? It's not like these people like work or whatever. Like they need some money to fund what they're kind of doing, unless they just go out and steal everything, which I guess is possible. However, it seems like they have actually some money. I also think how Jacques like was able to like marry Weiss's mom, despite the fact that he didn't really like her at all. He just liked her money, was partly because of Salem, I believe, but maybe not. Maybe that's me like kind of stretching things a little bit. That being aside, I do think that Weiss's mom will be introduced in this volume, in Volume 6, and play an important role in that volume, at least in terms of a support character for Weiss. I also think that Weiss will be the one to retrieve or sent to retrieve the relic that's being stored at Atlas, which I think is the Relic of Creation. Now, I think that it's the Relic of Creation because it's the Winter Maiden that's guarding, or really to open the doors to the vault of the Relic of Creation. And I think the Winter Maiden will definitely play a role here in Volume 6. And I actually think that the Winter Maiden might not start off in this volume as being Penny, but I think it will become Penny due to the stuff that we saw in Volume 3 with the transferring of Aura. I think that will play an important role in all this. And I think Penny will become the Winter Maiden, at least for a time. Now, carrying on from like the Winter Maiden, I actually think Cinder will actually end up stealing the power of the Winter Maiden. Whether that happens in this volume or later, I think her having all the maiden powers at once, I think that's going to happen at some point in the story. Or maybe she only has like partial. She's definitely going to have at least 2, most likely 3 or 4. Speaking of Cinder, I actually don't think she's going to return to Salem because she kind of witnessed Salem's punishment of Tyrion, and Cinder really screwed up in Volume 5. She tried to get everything and she ended up losing everything, basically. However, I think she is going to return, but be more of a character that's not on Salem's side and not on the good side either. She's going to be an antagonist, but she's going to be there to retrieve what she basically wants in order to kind of... I don't think she wants to get on Salem's good side. She might want to eventually. However, I think it's more down the lines of she wants to just get power for herself to defeat Salem, which I think, and I'll probably do a theory on this eventually, is what Cinder eventually wants. So before I get to some of the other characters, let me go back to Weiss and who I think she's actually going to face and defeat in this volume. I actually think it's going to be her father, and I think her father's actually probably going to be more powerful than we actually think, or he's going to have some people working for him or whatever. Anyway, I do think that Weiss is going to be defeating him in this volume. I don't see Jacques being like a long-term important villain. He might be a villain, like a minor villain down the line, but this volume, volume 6, is going to be where he's like one of the main villains. Now from there, I do think that one of two characters really need to die in this volume. I think either Crow or Winter has to die. And the reason I think that is because in volume 5 we had kind of a really good ending and none of the good characters actually died. That being aside, I do think volume 6 the good guys will actually lose a lot, just like they did in volume 3. It's a good way to kind of shift from, okay, in this kind of arc the bad guys won, in the next arc the good guys won, in the next coming up arc the bad guys are going to have to win pretty much. So if I kind of had to give a prediction of who's going to die, I would kind of say Crow will die. He's probably going to die some point in the story, and really to motivate RWBY. I think he will die in this volume, and the reason I don't think Winter's going to die, she might die, but I think Winter's going to more take his spot, if you will, as the volumes go on. But that's just kind of my prediction. That's what I think. It's like I'm kind of like 60-40, I would say, on who exactly is going to die. Now another character I think is going to die, and I'm about 90% sure on this, is Ironwood. And the reason I think he's going to die is because in the Battle of Beacon, the headmaster for Beacon, Osmond, died. In volume 5, the headmaster for Haven, Lionheart, died. And this is the Atlas arc. I think Ironwood will die at the end of the Atlas arc, being the headmaster. And then of course the next person to die is the headmaster, whoever that is, for Shade at Vacuo. Another character I think will die will be Penny. Now when I said Penny earlier, I don't mean the original Penny we saw who already died. The Penny that is like a version 2 of herself, because she is a robot, and though she has an aura, if you will, a kind of soul, she can be like rebuilt, and I think they have been rebuilding her ever since she was destroyed. And this Penny is not going to have any memories of any of the other characters, so it's going to be kind of a weird moment when she gets introduced again. And what I kind of first see happening there is that whoever the current Winter Maiden is, for whatever reason, they're going to transfer her soul, her aura or whatever, into Penny, and she will become the Winter Maiden. And then there will like be a battle or whatever, and Cinder will actually come in and clean up and basically take the maiden power from Penny. I think that's kind of how it's going to go. The exact like details of it, I'm not sure, but I think that's going to happen. I think Cinder at the end of this will have the power of 2 maidens. They need to kind of buff her up after her defeat in, she got defeated at Beacon and she got defeated in Haven, so she kind of needs a win at this point, even as a villain as powerful as her. Now, speaking of the maidens, I also think that Salem is going to kind of order Emerald to get the power of the Winter Maiden, sort of the same way that Cinder did back in we saw back in volume 3, but that really happened before the story began. I don't think Emerald is actually going to want to help Salem out now that Cinder is gone, but she's going to feel like she has no other choice. And I think by the end of this volume, she's actually going to depart like on her own, if you will, or maybe she'll join the good guys. I don't think she'll join right away. I think she will depart on her own, or maybe she will join Cinder by the end of it, or whatever. But the point is, I don't think she will be part of Salem's group by the end of this volume. And I think she'll eventually join the good guys, but I already kind of talked about that a little bit in my past videos. Another possible thing that could happen as well, that's kind of one of my predictions, is that Emerald's actually the one to, with some help, defeat Penny as the Winter Maiden. She steals the power from Penny and becomes the Winter Maiden, only to have Cinder come and defeat her and steal the power. And then Emerald being actually saved by Jean, which is a theory that I actually think will happen, just because it just seems like a good story point for me personally, and it seems that Jean would actually have that ability to save someone, like he saved Weiss from pretty much death, if you will, and he kind of has that power to like heal someone because he enhances their horror. So they're kind of like setting that up for something like this to happen. Now, another thing I think will happen is that by the end of this volume, I think Yang, at the very least, will leave the group. It's either going to happen at the end of this volume or at the end of the next, but I think that will happen. And to go along with it, I think Jean will actually, I'm predicting that Jean, even though I think it's a lesser chance, will also leave the group. Now, another character I haven't really talked about is Adam, and he actually is a character we know the most about for this volume because we saw a little bit of what's going to happen to him right after volume 5 because of the Adam short that was introduced like last month or something like that. Now, basically what happened to Adam is that we see him staggering, like walking, and he just takes off his mask. Like he looks like he's defeated. Now, what I think happened is that he tried to join like Salem's crew, like Hazel and them, and Hazel just beat him. Like he just destroyed Adam, and that's why we see him like staggering. Basically, Adam like kind of lost everything at the end of volume 5. Now, what happens to him in the future, I think maybe he'll end up joining the good guys eventually, but I think he's going to probably be mostly on his own, and he might actually get into contact with Raven at some point, if you will. It seems likely to me. People have always made that connection between Raven and Adam, and though I don't think like there's any family relation between the two, if you will, they do have like similar like swords, if you will, like sort of similar like fighting styles in a sense. Now, as for Ruby, I don't think she's going to get a ton of character development in this volume again. I think that her main character development will be at the end of this volume, where I think that Crow will die, and that will like trigger something in her as well, and really prepare like Ruby's character for the incoming future volumes of the story. Now, as for Jean, like I said, I don't think he's gonna get a huge character development in this volume. Maybe he will. Maybe his sisters are actually located in Atlas, or maybe they're located in Vale or Vacuole. I really don't know at this point. But we will see his sisters at some point, and like I said, I do think he will end up like healing Emerald. But like I said, like towards the end of these predictions are the ones that I think usually I think the less will happen, like less likely, if you will. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.